Hi, I'm Lydia, the feeding expert for Emma's Diary, and I'm really excited to introduce our brand new series, Feeding Unfiltered, for National Breastfeeding Month and Black Breastfeeding Week, where we get real about feeding. No judgment here, just support for all parents on their feeding journey. Today, I'm joined by newly mum of three, Sybil, where we will be talking about the breastfeeding basics to help you get started. So let's get into it. So, Sybil, it would be great to hear about your own experiences on getting started with breastfeeding.
Hi, so I'm Sybil, a newly mum of three, and I breastfed all my babies, and I'm currently breastfeeding my third. I am a lifestyle and family content creator. I've done that for over 7 years, and I share like the raw and honest motherhood journey that I'm on, and just keeping it real with my audience. And yeah, so that's what I do. And yeah, so breastfeeding, I breastfed all my kids, and like I said, my newest baby is only 4 weeks old, so we are breastfeeding as well. But for my first child, it was quite difficult. The milk didn't come in straight away after my C-section. Obviously, as a new mum, I wasn't sure what I was doing. And so, yeah, it was very, very painful. And she just wasn't getting on. And then, fast forward, we found out she had a tongue tie. And after that, it was a breeze. It was pain-free. I enjoyed it, loved it. And with my second one, same thing in the beginning. The breast milk didn't come in straight away, so we had a bit of difficulties there. And then, after the hurdle of the hard couple of weeks, it did go very, very well. We enjoyed it as well. And then with this baby, this is the first time that my breast milk is coming straight away. So from day one, baby's been feeding. It has been a journey. It has been, I'm not gonna lie, it's been quite painful as well. But I pushed through the first couple of weeks, and now we're getting into a rhythm of breastfeeding, and yeah, it's going really well.
Amazing. So three really different experiences and starts to breastfeeding for you, and obviously some challenges along the way. So,
Yeah.
how has it been with your milk coming in quite quickly this time round?
It's been a lot easier because I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I've never experienced it before, so I was just so excited to think, yes, like it's coming straight away. I'm not concerned about how much baby's getting because it's just there. And so I think that for me was one less thing to worry about. Like being a new mum, you got so much things going on in your mind, and obviously your body, processing everything and recovering. But yeah, so that's just been a big relief for me. And like I said, now I'm over the hard, beginning stages. It's a lot easier, and yeah, we're really enjoying it. I'm loving it, and baby's happy, and yeah, it's going really well.
Oh, amazing. So as you breastfed all three of your children, I'm really curious to hear which breastfeeding positions you sort of wanted to use, or did you try a few to see what worked? Because, it's really important to find the one that works for you, and the ones that we might see online or in a book might still need adjustments to make it work for us and our own babies and anatomies.
Sure. So for me, because I have larger breasts, the normal breastfeeding positions, the common ones, aren't really for me. So it took a while, especially my first time with my first child, to navigate, what positions. I remember having the breastfeeding team come around to my house, like they were there literally every day for like a whole week, and just supporting, and I was just like doing different positions and seeing what works for me. And for me, it's the football or rugby position?
Rugby ball, yeah.
Yeah, rugby ball, and also sideline works well for us as well. So yeah, so I adopted that from the first child, and I've just filtered that through to the others as well. So that's always been good, as comfortable, and yeah. So that's basically the positions that I use.
That's amazing. It sounds like you've really tried many of them to find what works for you, which is
Yeah,
perfect. And then once you found one that sort of worked with your body and your babies instead of almost against them sometimes,
yeah,
you've carried that through for all your babies and you're finding
that's it.
success with all three in those
Yes,
positions.
yes,
Wonderful.
100%.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a common worry for lots of new mums, even if it's your third baby, is how to know if baby's getting enough milk.
Yeah.
Now, from a professional perspective, there's lots of thresholds that we need to make sure we're reaching to ensure baby is getting enough. For example, 8 feeds minimum in a 24-hour period, but a lot more would be normal as well. And nappy output, if there's enough going in, there's enough coming out. Wait, that was wrong. If there's enough coming out, there's enough going in. So some indicators are really helpful alongside steady weight gain as well. But what did that look like for you when you were learning to breastfeed in the beginning and trying to make sure baby was getting enough as well?
So with my first one, she was actually losing the weight. That's how we realized that she wasn't getting enough. So that's when the feeding team was, coming more often, and so to help me get her on and to make sure she's getting enough. And I didn't realize that she wasn't even having enough wet nappies, so they let me know the signs and what to look out for, how many feeds, and also helping with the positioning, and that really helped. And then as well with that, we found out about the tongue tie. So once that was resolved as well, she was feeding a lot better, she was feeding more consistent, and everything went well from there. And I think from that experience, I then knew what to look forward what to look out for the second child. And obviously, I think every child is different, and it's always good to have a refresher. My children are like 3 years apart, so for my second child, I did have a quick read online, just to refresh myself, what to look out for, and from what I did know as well. And so I just kept that going, and that was fine. And then with this baby, my third one, he is just, I don't even know, his weight is just shooting up. He eats so much, so many wet and sore nappies, unreal. So there's no doubt that he's not getting enough. So I think, yeah, the more kids you have, I think you have more experience, you know what to look out for. And now I just know that, yeah, he's absolutely fine. So it's not something that I'm concerned or worried about. And like I said as well, having the right positions that work for you, work for baby as well, that also helps with the feeding and as well.
Absolutely. And once you know those signs and those indicators that baby is getting enough, it can offer a lot of reassurance, or at least offer information to then take action and get some extra support if they're not meeting those indicators. So I'm really pleased to hear how your knowledge and your experience has really helped. Obviously, third baby, it's not been a problem for you.
No.
And onto the topic of sort of how often you should feed. So I mentioned eight feeds in a 24-hour period. That would be a minimum, right? So if it was 7 or less than that, then it would sort of be that mum and baby might be in need of some extra support to ensure baby is getting enough, is thriving, and is hydrated. What was your knowledge about how often a baby should be feeding, and what that sort of natural pattern that doesn't really have a pattern or routine, what did that look like for you?
So obviously my first, everything's all new, you don't know what you're doing, and you need you're taking in all the information that you're getting from all the healthcare professionals. So once we established, and got everything sorted, I was aware of the 8 to 12 feeds, and because I always expressed and breastfed as well, so I just made sure to I remember with my daughter, I was actually like writing it down just so I can remember, because I think for me the whole new motherhood thing was really overwhelming, and so much things to take into consideration, and you've got all these appointments and all these healthcare professionals coming in every day. So I used to make sure I wrote it down, I think for the first month, so I kept a note of every time that she was eating as well, and how much she was eating if it was from the bottle, and then how many feeds or how long from the breast as well. So I think all that information helped with finding out what was going on as well. So that was the first one. And for my second child, it was just a breeze. Honestly, like he didn't have any issues really. So he was just feeding all the time. And I think that's when I think as a mother I became a bit more relaxed, the fact that knowing I've done it before. So I then started the whole thing of like feeding on demand sort of thing, as opposed to like tracking it down or every 2 or 3 hours and stuff like that. So I think it was more relaxing for me, and it worked better for us. And I do the same this time around my third baby as well. I feed on demand. He is also bottle fed as well as breastfed. So I just know I know the cues and things from him when he needs to eat and things like that. And obviously it's warmer as well, so he's obviously feeding a lot more. So I think he probably has more than 12 feeds in a day, mainly from the breast. And yeah, so again, it's just mainly feeding on demand for the last 2 kids. So yeah, it's going really well, and I think it takes off that pressure as well, so.
Absolutely. I think, like you say, on demand, also called responsive feeding, is a really important part of breastfeeding, especially in the early weeks. So responding to baby's hunger cues every time, not thinking about clocks in terms of oh, they're hungry again or something like that. Babies, they don't know what a clock is, they're hungry when they're hungry. The only important element of clocks or timings is ensuring that they're getting enough, and we're not leaving it too long. So especially in those early weeks whilst babies are regaining their birth weight, really important not to sort of leave it longer than 3 hours between a feed, not only for baby but also for your milk supply. The way a baby wants to feed little and often is similar to how our breasts want to remove milk, make and release milk. So it's really important to not leave it too long. And some babies can be very sleepy at the start, for a number of reasons. And the phrase "never wake a sleeping baby" is not true in this case. Sometimes babies will sleep through hunger cues, so it's really important to be on top of that, and make sure baby is feeding enough in that 24-hour period.
So we have a few questions for some of our parents. So I just thought it'd be nice to answer some of the questions that these mums had. So Anna asked, do you have any tips for breastfeeding positions for different size breasts, e.g. larger?
So anatomy is a really important factor in the positions we use and what that looks like. So it will differ parent to parent. So making adjustments for something like larger breasts is really important, and I appreciate it can be frustrating when the images we see online and in books may feature smaller breasts and nipples that point more upwards, which is absolutely some people's anatomy, but not necessarily inclusive for all body types. So for larger breasts, I would recommend breast shaping, ensuring you're not holding too close to the nipple, as your fingers can then sometimes get in the way of your baby's latch. But breast shaping can be a really helpful way to sort of hold your nipples maybe pointing slightly more upwards, and giving baby a bit more of a bite onto the breast. Another helpful trick is rolling up a muslin and placing this under your breast. This can help to naturally lift your breast and nipple direction, something that I used myself.
And
yeah, give it a go.
I'll try that, yeah.
And lastly, as you actually spoke a lot about your own breastfeeding journey, Sybil, I try a few different positions to see if one feels more comfortable. Some people with larger breasts find that rugby ball or the sideline position makes it easier to achieve a deeper latch, but the most important thing is to find what works for you and your body.
Thank you. So we have another question from Hannah, and she asked, when baby latches, is it painful, and what's the best approach for a good latch?
So whilst pain is common in the early days as you're learning how to latch baby deeply, it's not necessarily a normal part of breastfeeding that should simply be endured. So pain is a sign that the latch is slightly shallow and baby may be compressing your nipple with the hard palate at the top of their mouth rather than the soft palate a bit further back. So the best approach for a good latch is to get baby in the correct position first, which looks like your nipple is going to go up their nostrils. So there is a common phrase, nipple to nose, but I prefer to say nipple up the nose because it gives you that idea of the angle, as this could be nipple to nose technically, but we're looking for nipple up the nose. We then want to wait for baby to open their mouth nice and wide like a yawn, and that's when you'd latch them onto the breast, remaining in this angle, not moving up and around into a bit of a bullseye position. So once latched, a baby's nose should be free and their chins should be indenting the breast. If they're too far up this way, there will be a gap between their chin and your breast. It should also not be constantly painful for you. A little discomfort in the beginning whilst you're adjusting to frequent breastfeeding is understandable, and the latch might not be perfect as soon as you've had your baby. So that's why pain is sometimes common, but not necessarily normal. We don't want to ever experience pain that's causing you to wince through every feed. That shows us that maybe we need some additional support to help get that latch a bit deeper.
Thank you. And so we have another question from Judy, and she asked, what can cause a drop in milk supply? Does getting your period back affect this?
So milk supply works on a supply and demand basis. So the more you continually remove, the more you'll continually make. And the less you continually remove, the less you continually make. So infrequent or inefficient milk removal is a common cause for a drop in supply. This can be due to something like a shallow latch where baby's unable to transfer milk optimally. And in this case, it's crucial to find the root cause of that shallow latch to help improve things for you. But yes, periods can also cause a temporary drop in supply, as well as affect the composition and taste of breast milk. So you may find your baby is slightly fussier at the breast or is feeding a lot more during this period, but please be assured that this is normal and temporary. It will pass.
Okay. Wow, you learn something new every day. I had no idea.
I know.
I've read that before. Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found it helpful, and don't forget to tune in for the next episode of Feeding Unfiltered. Bye.
Bye.